Here's Dakota Livesay with another story from the archives of Chronicle of the Old West.
I'm not having much luck finding gold. Maybe it's the pan I'm using or where I'm looking. But James Marshall and John Sutter didn't have that problem. They found gold just outside of Sacramento, California. Let's take a look to see how they did in the gold fields.
Back in 1841, John Sutter received a land grant of 48,000 acres near Sacramento, California. His dream was to build an empire that he would call New Switzerland. On a small rise, he built an adobe fort that he christened Sutter's Fort. As the town expanded, John Sutter began to run out of lumber for buildings. One of the workers John Sutter had hired was a James Marshall. James Marshall was an experienced carpenter and iron worker, and he was just the man John Sutter needed to help him acquire more lumber for New Switzerland. So James and John went into partnership and decided to build a sawmill along the American River. It was built along the river so the flow of the water could turn the water wheel, which in turn turned the saw. The mill wasn't located on John Sutter's land. Because California was in the process of being transferred from Mexican to United States ownership, Sutter and Marshall decided to exchange clothing and other trinkets with the local Indians for a 3-year lease of the area around the site. With the construction of the mill race completed, the flowing water carried away the sand and dirt, but left the heavier materials behind. In the materials left behind, James Marshall saw what he thought could possibly be gold. After consulting books and conducting several tests, it was determined to be gold. When James Marshall told Sutter of the gold discovery, his first thought was not of the vast potential of wealth, but of how it would adversely affect New Switzerland. Even though they tried to keep the discovery a secret, in a short time the whole world knew about it. As men were panning for gold, Marshall was busy cutting lumber and Sutter tending his crops. Within a year, both of their businesses failed. James Marshall was eventually run off the land. John Sutter turned to drink. His land came from 2 Spanish land grants. One was declared void, and squatters took over the other. Eventually, both men tried mining for gold, but they were a failure. John Sutter died penniless in 1880, and James Marshall did the same in 1885. James Marshall often said, "Someday they'll make a fuss over me," and true to his words, in 1890 a monument to him was erected by the state of California.
Although Sutter and Marshall didn't profit from the discovery, over the next 25 years, in today's money, over $16.5 billion worth of gold was taken out of the area. I'm Dakota Livesay.
Thanks, Dakota. For more information, visit fortheoldwest.com.